Number 27 is hands down the hardest question I've ever seen on a practice test, in my opinion. You need a lot of background knowledge to solve this problem. And I'm encouraging you, if you're taking the high set exam, I would make a guess on this one and keep going. I do not think I would spend time trying to work this out. If you are preparing for a math competition and need to know how to do this, I'm going to show you how to do it. But you do need some background information. You need to understand the concept of a conjugate root. And I'll tell you about that in just a second. You also need to understand the concept that I squared, an imaginary number squared, is equal to -1. Okay? You need those bits of background information to be able to do this problem. With that in mind, though, let's dive in. Find the cubic equation that has -1 and 2i, that's an imaginary number, as roots. So the concept of a conjugate root relates to this number with a coefficient. You have the 2 there, that is a coefficient of the I. So it has a conjugate root. And if 2i is a root of this equation, I know also that -2i would be a root of this equation. And the third root of the equation is the -1 right here. Those are both roots, and I know the conjugate of 2i is -2i. So these are the 3 roots that I'm going to be working with. So that's the first hurdle, identifying your 3 roots. And these are the roots of the cubic equation. From there, you can determine your factors. So if -1 is the root, the factor would be x plus 1. If 2i is the root, the factor would be -2i. And if -2i is the root, the factor would be +2i. So once you get the roots, that leads you to the factors. So step 1 is this part, getting the roots. Step 2 is this part, getting the factors. And then we're ready to move to the next part. We are going to multiply the complex conjugates, and that would be these 2. Anytime I'm thinking of factors, my mind is going to multiplying, and I'm going to start with these 2 terms. So x minus 2i times x plus 2i, and I'm going to use FOIL to do this multiplication because I'm multiplying binomials. So first terms would be x times x, and that's x squared. Outside terms would be x times positive 2i. So that's going to be positive 2ix. Inside terms would be negative 2i times x, and that's negative 2ix. And then last terms would be negative 2i times positive 2i. So that's going to be a negative 4i squared. All right, so I have FOILed it. I can see that these terms cancel each other. won't hear me complaining that those are gone away. And remember what I told you in the beginning, you needed to know that an I squared is a negative 1. So here I'm going to substitute that negative 1 for I squared to get a positive 4. So this multiplication of those complex conjugates results in an x squared plus 4. So that's the next step. X squared plus 4. And then I'm going to multiply that times the x plus 1 factor that we have not yet used. So I need to FOIL again. Here's this term from the green that we got, and I'm going to FOIL one more time. There's a lot of foiling on this test. First terms would be x squared times x. That's x to the 3rd power. Outside is x squared times positive 1. That's x squared. Inside is 4 times x, or 4x. And last is 4 times 1, or constant 4. So you put these in standard form, which means the exponents count down, and that the constant is tagging along on the ends, and that is your cubic equation. And I like answer D as in delta. You will appreciate this now that we've worked this. I was almost to the end of this. I was down here about right there, and my pen died. So I had to record this video a second time, but it's good practice for me to remember about conjugate roots.